Many of Asia's cities are frequently covered in a blanket of pollution and smog. Some people reach for their face masks and inhalers to deal with the resulting asthma and allergies. But a few have been turning to an alternative breathing technique called Buteyko, after the Russian physician who invented it more than 50 years ago. It's being touted as a drug-free way to cure over 200 ailments, from asthma to impotence. Shakuntala Santaran has the story.
38-year-old Moina Srinivasan is asthmatic. She was first diagnosed with the chronic lung disease 5 years ago.
Anything that was a bit physically challenging, I would get breathless. And typically I would like to use my inhaler. The inhaler gives you shakiness of the limbs and generally you're not 100%. If there was an infection going around, I was quite sure to catch it.
But since she learnt Buteyko's method of breathing 9 months ago, Moina says she's been so healthy she no longer needs medication.
I haven't used an inhaler or any kind of traditional medication for my condition since I took the workshop, which was in June. So that makes me drug-free now for about 9 months. And that makes me very happy because that was my goal.
This is the CPAP machine.
59-year-old Christopher Gold is another satisfied Buteyko customer. He suffers from sleep apnea, a potentially life-threatening breathing disorder.
Sleep apnea is a bit like snoring, but snoring too much. But with sleep apnea, it's even worse because you choke at the same time. You sort of, and you actually stop breathing. And this means that sleep is very broken and you're very tired the next day and you don't know why.
For the last 8 years, Chris has had to be force-fed air via this machine to help him breathe while he sleeps.
Put this on and try and go to sleep.
But he hasn't needed the machine since he learnt how to breathe the Buteyko way.
I can't say yet whether the results will be permanent, but I've been 1 to 2 months without using the machine, so certainly at present it's been very effective, and I'm very happy.
Russian respiratory doctor Konstantin Buteyko developed the method over 50 years ago, specifically to help people correct their breathing.
According to Dr. Buteyko, 9 out of 10 people do not breathe correctly. You might think, as many people do, that you don't breathe deeply enough. But Buteyko's research indicates quite the opposite, that many people instead breathe too much.
Over-breathing, according to Dr. Buteyko, is a product of our modern-day lives. The pollution in the air, bad diets, and stress in particular.
In ancient times, that's when people were stressed, they were about to engage or were engaging in fight and flight. Modern humans are sitting down when they get stressed. And sedentary stress, unfortunately, provokes the same kind of physiological and biochemical reactions in the body as the stress which prepares you for fight and flight. So your breathing increases, your heart rate increases, your hormones change. And if you're not in fight and flight, then your body becomes imbalanced. So what I want you to do is put your hand on your chest.
Jac Vidgen, who's been teaching Buteyko's method for over a decade, says this imbalance can be manifested in over 200 disorders, like asthma and sleep apnea, and also more unexpected conditions like diabetes, impotence, and even varicose veins.
The product of that can be manifested depending on your genetic predisposition. If you have a genetic predisposition for asthma, then it will be manifested as asthma. If you have a genetic predisposition for digestive disorders, it may be manifested that way. Okay, breathe softly, breathe softly.
Jac and other Buteyko practitioners believe shallow breathing through the nose is the key to alleviating these conditions.
As a person reduces their breathing to more normal levels, the balance of oxygen and CO2 in the body becomes more corrected, more appropriate, more optimum, which allows for effective oxygen delivery to the cells and allows for opening of air passages. In relation to asthma, there was like a 96% reduction in bronchodilator use across the board in the trial group within a few weeks and sustained to the end of 6 months.
These results have been consistent in 4 different trials in Australia, Scotland, and New Zealand. They've certainly excited some doctors. But many practitioners of mainstream medicine are more skeptical about the method.
To slow down your breathing, I think does have a role in alleviate the sensation of shortness of breath. But just controlling the breathing itself is not going to treat the underlying pathophysiology of asthma, which is airway inflammation causing narrowing of the airways.
Like many conventional physicians, Dr. Leung prescribes drugs to treat asthma. He refuses to consider Buteyko's method.
Without any proper randomized controlled trial between the conventional method and Buteyko breathing method, I think one cannot say for sure whether scientific value is there or isn't there. So until
Dr. Leung has so far declined Jac's invitations to try Buteyko breathing himself. Moina too was skeptical about the method before she tried it, but she's now sold on its benefits.
The results speak for themselves. I haven't used an inhaler, I haven't taken medication. I've recommended it to lots of friends. It's helped them as well.
The drug-free method is being used not just to treat conditions like asthma. A growing number of Buteyko enthusiasts are using the technique to lose weight. Athletes here in Hong Kong, Australia and Russia are also breathing shallow to improve their performance and stamina. Buteyko's method promises no miracles. You have to work to get results.
The success rate will depend entirely upon the person's need and willingness to practice. You're changing the biggest habit we have, and you can't expect to change that without some work.
Buteyko's method may seem really simple, but practitioners caution against doing it without training. To convince skeptics to try the technique, Jac offers a money-back guarantee. He says out of over 5,000 people that he's taught, only 5 have asked for a refund. That's pretty good odds.
Out gently and hold.
And that's all for this edition of Focus Asia. Do email us with any comments you have about the show. And don't forget the website if you want to look at our archive of stories from around the region. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'm Joe Kynes. Goodbye.